I thought it would be fun if we had just a cozy little book chat. I have a cup of tea here. It's so delicious. It's from Stash Teas, I think, and it's like peppermint and chocolate and vanilla, and it's just so delicious. So I thought it would be fun if we did the booktube newbie tag. I don't know whether I'm on booktube or authortube, because I do like to write. So I guess this is kind of like a tag for both of them. But yeah, I thought it would be fun if we just did this quick little video. Hi, welcome to my channel. My name's Elsie Chanda. I get a lot of questions on how to pronounce my name, so it's Elsie Chanda. And yeah, I just thought it would be fun to start this kind of bookish channel. I like reading, I like writing. I don't read quite as fast as other people, and I don't write nearly as much as other people, but I still wanted to kind of come on here and be a part of the community a little bit. I've got my Christmas onesie on. It's so happy. It is getting colder outside today. But yeah, well, I guess that kind of answers the first question, which was, why did you start this channel? And like I said, I just wanted to kind of join this like wholesome community. Like I always see people like on booktube, and I'm like, oh, that's so wholesome. I wish I could do that, because I love to talk about books, and yeah, I just thought it would be fun. Question number 2 was, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to YouTube? I don't know. I don't necessarily consider myself to be like super unique. I will say I was raised kind of multicultural. Like I spent half of my life outside of the US and then the other half of my life in the US. And yeah, I think that's kind of given me like a fun perspective on life, I like to think. So I guess maybe that is what I bring. And then the next question is, sorry, I'm really bad at like transitions to the next question, so I'm just kind of like plowing through this. But the next question is, what are you most excited about for your channel? I think I learn by talking. I learn by exploring things and talking about them, and so I find that I get the most out of reading when I've talked to my mother about like a book that I'm reading, or if I've talked to like my friends about books that I'm reading. I find that I learn a lot more from those books, and so yeah, I just thought it would be a good way for me to learn and to, I guess, motivate myself to read more as well, because I love reading when I'm reading, but it's really hard to get myself to actually read. But yeah, the next question is, why do you love reading? I love reading for various reasons. Number 1, I love movies and TV, and a book is basically just a movie inside of your head that you don't have to burn your eyes for. And so I guess that's why I like reading. And I don't know, it's just fascinating to me. These whole stories and characters and plot lines can come from the human brain. It's just baffling to me, and it's incredible. And so yeah, I guess that's why I've always liked reading. But the next question is, again, horrible with transitions, but the next question is what book series got you into reading? And I don't remember. I've been reading for like a long time, since I was a kid. And I don't think there was ever one book when I was a kid that got me into reading like children's books and like middle grade fiction. I think a book that started me into kind of more adult fiction was The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, I think that's how you say his name, and The Voids by Ryan O'Connor. I read those 2 books, and it was really my first kind of insight into, oh, this is what fiction, like adult fiction is, because I think for the longest time as a middle schooler, I was like, ugh, adult fiction? Ew, why would I want to read that? And I guess now reading those books, was it The Voids? It was Winter's Tale by Mark Halperin. That's what it was. It was Winter's Tale by Mark Halperin. I don't know why I said The Voids. But reading those two books really kind of introduced me to like, oh, this is what adult fiction actually is. It's not just adults being adults. Then question number 6 is, what questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I think a question that I've always liked to ask other people who read is, if you could rewrite any book, which one would it be, and what would you change? What would you keep? Would you choose that same writing style for that same story, or would you go in a different route? I just think it's interesting to hear people's answers to that, and it tells me a lot about like who they are as like readers and who they are as not people, but like writers and stuff like that. So yeah. Question number 7 is, what challenges will be the hardest? I think staying consistent. I have a really big problem with consistency. I tend to like go really hard for like a couple of weeks, and then I just kind of completely fall off and lose track. So I think trying to maintain consistency will be my hardest challenge. So apologies if there's like no video for like several weeks. That's just me trying to learn discipline. But yeah, I guess the next question I kind of already answered. When did you start reading? When I was super young. The next question is, where do I read? Pretty much anywhere. I'll read like at work on my break. I'll read in my bed. I'll read downstairs. So pretty much just anywhere. I will say that I do, if I'm reading certain books, I have to have a certain level of quiet. Other books, I don't need quiet at all. Like if I'm reading like contemporary romance or something, I don't need the quiet. But if I'm reading like right now I'm reading Something Wicked This Way Comes, and for that novel I can have like a mid-level of noise. So for instance, I can have a video playing in the background, but I've read other novels where I needed complete silence because it was just getting my brain used to that style of writing, and it was a much harder novel to just casually read. And so yeah, I guess I just read everywhere with kind of varying levels of quiet loudness depending on the book that I'm reading. But the very last question is, what kind of books do I read? And I have thought about this so much because I want to be able to have like a straightforward answer to be able to tell people like, I like this type of book. And I found that I can't. I like so many varying types of fiction. For instance, I would say 90% of the time I don't enjoy contemporary romance, but then I read The Love Hypothesis and I loved that. So it's like, yeah, I will say most of the time, like I said, most of the time I don't read contemporary fiction. I just don't like being reminded of the modern day. And then I also don't read YA fantasy very often. I mean, there's a few YA fantasies where I've been like, oh, that's really good. But yeah, I don't read YA fantasy very often. I'd say the most that I read is classic-like fiction, meaning fiction that could be deemed a classic, but it's not a classic, like Melmoth by Sarah Perry, The Essex Serpent. I'm trying to look at my shelf. We have The Book Thief on there, obviously. I have Ordinary Monsters. I think that's what it's called, Ordinary Monsters. We have All the Light You Cannot See, Cloud Cuckoo Land, Freddie and Frederica, The Guest Book, We Were Liars, Outlander, The Little Friend, The Secret History. So just basically like books that could be deemed as classics, but they aren't. So yeah, I'd say that's my reading genre. I tend to like very atmospheric, kind of not spooky fiction, but fiction that makes me think. So I really enjoy like fiction from like people that I wouldn't normally interact with perspective. And So yeah, I think that's my kind of reading style. That being said, I do break that every once in a while and read just a book that I would have never thought I would have liked, just to kind of give myself a break from having to think too much. um, so yeah. Anyways, that's the end of this little chat. Um, yeah, I'm excited to be here. If you want to subscribe, you can. You don't have to. um, I don't know what I'm gonna do on here quite yet, but we'll figure it out as I go. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed your tea and this little chat. And I'll see you whenever I see you next. Someone that I was at my job and someone said, "See you in the next adventure," and I've loved that saying and I've used it ever since. So see you in the next adventure.